What's up, everybody? Thanks so much for joining the stream today. I'm a little bit late, so I haven't had the time to do the stream title, so I'll actually do it live. The 3+1 things that I did right. There we go. We now have a stream background. Excellent. So thanks so much for joining today, everybody. So last Friday I talked about the 3+1 things that I did wrong as an academic writer, and today I want to tell you about the 3+1 things that I did right as an academic writer. And I don't think any of this is super obvious. So I think there is some good value from the stream today. And to start, the biggest thing that I did right as an academic writer is I prioritized data, prioritized collecting good data and working with good data. Okay, data publishes. Data is the insurance against you're not being a genius. If you have good data, if you can write a good results section, reviewers will help you. As a reviewer, I've reviewed for very top journals, very low-end national journals, and I have never, ever rejected a paper with a good results section. Okay, with a good results section. I remember I reviewed for a very good journal a paper where, I kid you not, the authors wrote a theory section that made it seem that they had not read a single paper on the topic of their paper, but their data was amazing, their results was amazing. Okay, quality of data. Don't skimp on quality of data. And if you can, avoid projects where the data isn't right. Okay, you can have a great idea, but avoid projects, avoid co-authoring with other people, avoid working on papers where the data is not right. Okay, now you're allowed to have like one pet project like that. I have one paper right now that is actually the one with the most difficult reviews to work on from a very small journal on data that isn't great, but I just love it. Okay, so I give myself the permission to work on one paper, but it's one paper on the 6 that I'm currently working on now. One paper. Okay, so make sure your data is right, and the most important thing that you need to do in your PhD is get amazing data, because you won't have a lot of chances to do that again. Okay, amazing data. That means observation, not only interviews. If you're doing qualitative data, do observation, do an ethnography. If you're doing ethnography, spend as much time as you can on the field, as much time as you can. Okay, that means not going once a week or twice a week. That means being there every day, and being there, I would say, for at least a year, but bare minimum 9 months. Okay, so that's the first thing. Prioritize good data. Okay. Second thing, everything else is related to writing, because we are writers. We are academic writers. We write academic papers, but what we do is writing. And if you read, for example, a paper from Karl White, you'll appreciate how much writing can do for a paper. Sometimes it can, if you're a good enough writer like Karl White, it can overcome data as a reason people accept your paper. Just take a look at Karl White's papers on Administrative Science Quarterly, for example. Okay, so second thing that I did right is taking time to learn how to write. When I finished my PhD, I knew I had good data. I felt I had good ideas, but I didn't know how to write those ideas into a paper. So what I did is I worked on 3 papers for 3 years. That was my strategy. I worked on 3 papers for 3 years after I finished my PhD. And I submitted them all at the same time. And basically, my decision-making process was, if these papers get rejected from top journals, I'll move them down to a mid-level journal and adjust my career to that. And I'll stop writing for top-level journals because, I can't make it. I don't have it in me. If after 3 years I have not learned enough, then that means that probably it's not in me. And we need to be humble enough to recognize that it's not in us to write at that level. So I got 2 revise and resubmits on these 3 papers and 1 rejection. The rejection eventually came up my second MIS quarterly paper. One of the revise and resubmits went through 3 rounds, but then it didn't make it to the last round. The other one was my first MIS quarterly paper. So, I basically realized, okay, I can do this. Maybe not like my people at MIT can do it, like some people in my current school can do it, but I can do it, right? So my pipeline cannot be only these type of papers, but it can include these type of papers, okay? But really take the time to learn how to write. And this doesn't mean sitting on papers for 3 years. This means presenting in conferences, presenting in your school, going to paper development workshops, as much iteration as you can on a paper. You need to ship, you need to present, okay? It's not 3 years, coming up with a perfect paper. No, it's iteration, a lot. Go to as many conferences as you can, present everywhere that you can. I was on 4 to 5 conferences every year. And if you don't have money to travel to conferences, present to people in your school. I got amazing advice from people in very small schools in Portugal, okay? Not like star academics, and I still got very good advice. And I could also listen to myself presenting the paper. If you don't have people to present to, let's schedule a Skype call and present your paper to me. I'm happy to listen, okay? But, take time. Remember from my first video I did one of the first videos I did for the channel, can you publish if you're not a genius? You can, you just need more time. So take time to learn, okay? And something that is super important here is first job choice, okay? So I went to a research school, my first job, research school, with relatively low pressure, but I realized that I was just taking too long. So I just moved to a teaching school. I was teaching 250 hours a year, but you can still write on 250 hours a year. You just need to be disciplined. And obviously you won't be working on 6 papers, you'll be working on 1 or 2, but you can do it, okay? I have interviewed people for ESAG that come from teaching schools that had some very good papers, 1 or 2, but they still pulled it off. You can do it, okay? If I went to a teaching school because that took the pressure off of publishing quickly, like right away, so that just bought me the time that I needed to get the pipeline going, and now it's good, it's in cruise control, okay? Third thing that I did that was right was moving to a fixed time writing schedule. This is the impact on this. I mean, I can tell you, if I had to say like the one thing that changed my writing, my academic writer, that improved my career, that ended procrastination, was writing to a schedule. 3 hours every day or 15 hours every week. Some days I write more, some days I write less. And instead of I'm going to sit down and work on this paper before, like, so I began to do this like in 2010. Before that, I would be, working on a paper, then I would stop to watch a bit of TV, then I would stop to play a bit of computer game, like massive procrastination. I'm sure I was writing less time than if I just write 3 hours and I stop. And also the impact that had on my personal life was gigantic. Before, I remember there was this Easter holiday in 2009 where my son told me this was a really weird holiday because we were both at home and I almost didn't spend any time with him because I was revising a paper. And I was procrastinating so much in that. And then when I moved to this, I write 3 hours. I was writing every morning and then stopping. And then I was training Taekwondo an hour and a half every day, and I was spending hours every day with my son. I mean, just literally changed my life. This idea that you write X number of hours a day and then you stop. Even if I have more stuff to write, you stop. It's done. Okay? Discipline. Okay. So that's the 3 things. So prioritize high quality data. Take time at the beginning of your career to learn how to write and move to a fixed writing schedule. Write a set number of hours a day. Now, the +1 is focusing on writing skills. So I read a lot and watched a bunch of YouTube videos on how to write sentences, how to write paragraphs, what's rhythm in writing, how to choose words. And this was good for 2 reasons. First, obviously, it improved my writing. So, I write better now than I did before. Although some of my least generous co-authors would disagree, but anyways. But it also did something really important, which is it really gave me an additional layer or an additional dimension of craftsmanship and pleasure in writing, right? I enjoy thinking about sentence length, and I know this sounds super dirty, but it just adds this additional enjoyment and this additional show of excellence and skill to your work. It's not just about analyzing data and positioning the paper. I enjoy those too. I like it. I'm proud of that. But I also like that I'm proud of a specific sentence that I wrote, or a paragraph, or maybe a section where the rhythm of the paragraphs is good. I really added a new dimension of enjoyment to writing. So that's it. That's the video. Apologize for being late today, and thank everybody for showing up. Just going to quickly switch to the stream to see if there are any questions. No, there are not. So on that note, I'll say goodbye, and thanks so much for watching today. I'll talk to everybody tomorrow. Bye-bye.